You and I like to think that we know what is good and what is evil, that we know what is right and what is wrong. But the reality is we need wisdom from God to know what is good and what is evil. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were placed in this beautiful garden full of trees, but there were two particular trees in the middle of the garden, the tree of life and this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Adam and Eve were told, "You may surely eat of every tree in the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." We might think that there was something about this tree that looked forbidding or evil in itself, but you see, this tree wasn't forbidden because it was evil. It was evil because it was forbidden by God. The truth is, Adam and Eve could have gained the knowledge of good and evil without ever eating from the tree. You see, they could have been there at the tree, tempted to eat from it. They could have listened to the serpent, but rather than obey the serpent, Adam, right then and there, could have judged the serpent to be evil by what he was tempting them to do based on God's word. The first Adam could have crushed the head of the serpent right then and there. But instead, Adam and Eve, in a sense, became servants to that evil serpent rather than servants of God. Adam and Eve did gain the knowledge of good and evil from the tree, but not by judging the serpent to be evil or that action to be evil. Instead, they became evil themselves, and good became a memory of the past. We look at Adam and Eve, and we want to think that we would have done differently. But of course, we do the very same thing because we're so sure that we know what is good and what is evil. We decide to determine that for ourselves in opposition to, in disobedience to God's word. God tells us what is good. What is good is to forgive. But what do? We think we're the grand arbiters of justice and that we can decide who is worthy of being forgiven and who is not. God tells us, "You shall not commit adultery." And yet we're people who find ourselves sleeping with someone we're not married to, thinking that that's going to be the good life. That's what's going to make us happy, that that's actually a good thing. But of course, that goes terribly wrong. We think it makes sense that we simply deserve to have something that someone else has, and we justify the covetousness in our own hearts. We think of it as a good thing, and we don't realize it is an evil that is corrupting our very soul. My friends, the good life is not in deciding for ourselves what is good and taking hold of what God has said is evil. The good life is found in believing and obeying and trusting God, believing what He has said is evil will only harm us. And what He has said is good, He will surely give us.